Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you're here. If you don't know who I am Scala. I'm a first year, just finished my first year, Masters of Design Studies student at Harvard's Graduate School of Design. And I wanted to share my reflection of my first year in this program because, as you might know if you've been following me along on my channel, I actually began as a Masters of Architecture 1 student at Harvard. So in the 4-year Masters of Architecture professional track, and decided to switch out right at the beginning of my second year actually, so last fall 2022. And I will say, as a general overview of this reflection video, that it was the best decision I could have made for myself. And I have 4 really big reasons, so I can just jump into it in this video. I was talking to my friend Steven just yesterday, and the word that kind of came to mind when I was explaining my reflection is just space. Like, genuinely having space, like being able to take my time with things, to be doing things thoroughly, to learn thoroughly. That is like the #1 reflection I think of my entire year, is that switching from the MArch 1, which is very production oriented, your learning form and you're really diving deep into form, to taking a step back in the Masters of Design MDes program and really focusing on research and having like a thesis of design, or something that like conflicts or has tension, or like just changes your understanding of a viewpoint or something within the world that you want to explore further. Like, we began the Masters of Design Studies program with a manifesto. So we wrote it in our application, wrote it again in our first class, our pro seminar class, and then wrote it at the end of the pro seminar class. I have like 3 manifestos that are completely different, and I'm personally rewriting my manifesto again this semester. This is for spring 2023. I actually had a headache my first month of this program because I was reading so much, and it's funny to look back on and think like, yeah, I just had never consumed that much information at one time, and then had to also be critical of it, also had to like write a discussion about it, multiple discussions about it, also had to engage in discussion in person about it, and then also like continue the conversation outside of my classes. Like my classmates were willing to just have these really deep discussions about a reading or a prompt within that began in class. And it was a lot of thinking that I genuinely, sadly, had not done in quite a while. And I do lend that. If you're in architecture school, you kind of get it. Like, you're in this mode of like, you're designing an object or a building or concept within architecture that is really very much internal for quite a while. It is criticized, and it's in discussion in terms of you and your professor, and then in your final reviews, but it's a lot of this internal like production work that you can do while listening to music, you can do while watching a movie. So it's almost this passive act of making, sometimes, not all the time, of course. But in that sense, it's very different to be just active in your reading. You can't read something passively. I mean, you could, but like, you're not gonna get very much out of it. When you're also going in for discussion and everything, it's so much more depth. So that is probably the biggest takeaway of this year, is that I can slow down and really absorb information. And it's made me better. Like, it's made me a better thinker, and really diving into critically looking at what I'm doing, what I'm interested in, and changing my manifesto again to reflect those interests. A second huge takeaway from this year, and really this semester especially, is to be able to problem solve in different ways. Like, to look at an idea and not just think about it in terms of like physically solving this programmatic problem, but understanding the economics of this problem, what the market says about people's needs and the community's needs and in one specific area, as well as demographics and politics. It's just like broadened the way that I think about problems in the world. Like, a simple floor plan can mean so much more to a community than efficiency. And not to say that that was all I was learning in architecture school for the last 5 years, but it's a big part of it that, you know, I haven't really dug deep, even though I would try to in my projects, to this this greater global understanding of the problem of design or a problem within design. And this really begins with the discussions that I get to have with my classmates and their various backgrounds. A lot of people came from architecture backgrounds, but I've really been encouraged to like go to a lecture and go early, be in conversation with those around me, listen to the lecture fully, be critical of that reading of whatever that person had said in that lecture, and then stay after for more discussion and conversation. And the amount of like differences of opinion that people have about these given topics is amazing. And again, it's something that like makes you want to read more about an interest of mine or a cultural dispute and apply that to design, or like not even apply it right away, but again, it's taking your time. It's again having the space to think about problems in a greater depth and at different scales is huge. And I also can attribute this to the way that I've also tried to support myself. Like, I mean, as you probably know as well, if you've watched my videos, I'm Catholic, devout Catholic, and not only do I have like a spiritual director who helps like guide my paths in my everyday life and integrate my spirituality with my life, but I have a counselor who helps me in terms of like psychological well-being. They brought out these modes of bettering myself, of expressing myself. It sometimes like seems to contrast, but it honestly has made me better at looking at the different ways, again, the perspectives of a problem or a situation, even that I'm having internally, and revisiting that in a new light. So yeah, it's really something that's allowed me to have depth in so many areas of my life. And again, it goes back to having the space to do so. Another reflection point that I also really love is this idea that I feel like I've been learning how to learn. Like, I've actually heard this from a guest lecturer, and it's the idea that you go to school to learn, but like when you're out of school, like you're kind of just on your own. Like, are you still able to maintain that level of academic rigor and that like hope to learn well? And it's almost thinking about it like, what do I do when I get home from a class? Like, do I just sit there and watch Netflix, which sometimes I do, like those are great moments too, but I've been way more inclined to explore other schools. I took a class at the Divinity School, which is a religious studies school, and I also took like a college / arts and sciences class, so like kind of branching out a bit. And I spent a lot of my time in like Harvard's innovation lab. Just like being around entrepreneurship really got me encouraged to like think about a venture that I'm chatting with my sister about. And yeah, again, just like branching beyond my spaces of academia really encourages that learning to learn, like from others, from other opportunities, from different spaces, from different perspectives, which I would not have done. I didn't have as much space within the MArch-1 program to do that. So yeah, such a blessing, the spaces that I've been in. This semester, I also worked as a student partner for the executive education program at Harvard's Graduate School of Design. So it was their real estate continuing education program. So I was working with real estate developers who are like well into their profession, doing literally amazing things. And that gave me an opportunity to design. So what I would do was, when they like were designing basically this redevelopment project, and I was their renderer. So whenever they had ideas, they sent them my way. We were in discussion every other week, and I got to like still do my design thing that I was like worried that I would not be able to do anymore in this program. But you can find those pockets when you have the space to, and now I have a professional work experience on my resume because of it. And I also know how to work with these professionals and like get an idea across. So I've like just, again, it's expanded my understanding and my opportunity to learn on my own. Like, I feel a lot more confident to learn on my own. Speaking of learning on my own, I also did 2 independent studies within this 1 year, and it's one cool that I got to like work. Like, so my one independent study was with Habitat for Humanity, and I love Habitat for Humanity, so really fun to engage more with their international team and do this research and this work that I think is really important that I could continue for my future. this semester, similar thing. It's propelling me actually for my future year, which I'm gonna get into my fourth point, but I'm taking the year off next year for many reasons. But it literally, the opportunity to like work independently and to encourage myself to learn independently happened because I had the space to do so this year. Another fun thing about learning how to learn is that I've been so encouraged on so many fronts actually. I feel like I've gotten like little whispers, little God winks to do this, but I've begun my own like reading syllabus for the summer and my whole year off. So I'll share maybe a little bit more with you guys in another video and like detail how to make your own syllabus. But it's amazing to think that I'm actually so excited to like reread articles that I learned in class or read a fun book that a classmate or a friend has recommended, and within my like syllabus I'm actually like including people who I think would be really excited to talk about this topic. So it just continues that engagement and like that discussion that makes reading and the research that I'm doing so much more exciting. And my final and probably the most exciting point is just that this year has allowed for so much self-reflection that has definitely propelled me for my future. Like, just again, the space to think, to reflect, to allow myself to go to counseling or a spiritual direction or have that conversation with a friend or like cold email this professor that I was interested in talking to, and really engaging in discussion and honestly sitting in silence sometimes has been a huge change in my life within the last year that has allowed me to understand the things that I think are important and I value in my education, and has allowed me to be a lot more intentional in the work that I want to do in the future, or like prepare me to do in the future. So as I quickly mentioned, I'm taking the year off next year. I kind of knew in the back of my head that I would be doing this at the beginning of last semester. I just knew that it would be a good idea to like take a break and take a step back. I've been in school since I was in pre-K, so I have not taken a break from school, whereas a lot of people at the GSD have taken at least 1 year to work. So it's amazing, I think, that I can give myself this time and space before my final year, because now I'll have the space to think and reflect and refine the things that I'm interested in for that final year to be a place where I can just dive into the expertise that I want to gain, the networks that I want to build, and have more fun with the things that I'm doing. Once I I've been here for 2 years, I kind of know what's going on. Removing myself for self-reflection purposes, as well as this summer I'll be interning with World Heritage USA. I'll be going to India, so a bit of travel, and then I'll take a little break, and then I hope to go to Nigeria for most of next year, or the 2 semesters that I'll be away, to intern, to be with family, maybe be a grad assistant somewhere. My goal is just to allow the Lord, honestly, to guide my path, and to just be grateful for the connections that I've made that have allowed this opportunity to come forth. I originally hoped to do a lot of personal research, and I think I'm still interested in doing personal research, just not to the caliber that I originally thought I was going to. So some things have changed, and I'm just allowing them to change. I'm hoping to just receive whatever this year has in store for me. And yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I think it'll be a beautiful extension of the space that I've created for myself in changing my programs. So very grateful for this wonderful year. I am also so grateful for all of you for encouraging me to keep vlogging and to keep posting videos. It's also so amazing to hear from you. I've had at least like 4 emails or messages that said, I got into this school, your video on your personal statement was really helpful, and it really warms my heart that you will like let me know how you're doing, because I think it creates that personal bond that I actually really want to have with more of you. I've had a few Zoom calls with amazing people. I'm just so grateful for all of you, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.